All right, y'all. Welcome back to another episode of Cybershortieee Chronicles with your girl, Cybershortieee. And here we talk all things cybersecurity, sprinkled in with a little bit of lifestyle. And today we will be talking about a lifestyle topic. So, should you relocate from your hometown or should you stay in your hometown? So, what are the pros and cons of each? So, I guess I kind of just wanted to talk about my experience. I moved away from home in 2017. So, I've been away from home since then. I've lived in 2 different states. And I just kind of want to share my experience, some things I've learned, some things that I feel people should keep in mind if this is something that they are considering, wanting to do. So I will start off with just a quick synopsis of my story. So I graduated with my undergrad in 2016. I moved to North Carolina in January of 2017. And so I stayed in North Carolina, I want to say for about 2 years. In 2019, December of that year, I relocated to Texas. And so with being in Texas, it's been one of the most joyous, best experiences of my life. Texas is a wonderful state. I feel like it was the best decision I ever made. So for me, I've obviously had some challenges. I've had, a lot of things occur that I feel like people don't really think about when they are leaving home. And so I just wanted to kind of share some insight there so you kind of understood kind of what I've experienced. So some of the pros for me, I'll start right off the bat, it's just a fresh scenery. So being able to go try new food, try new dates, attractions, things like that, new museums, new everything. Just being in a fresh new scenery can really change your mind. And so leaving home right off bat, that's what I wanted. I just wanted to get away on a fresh new scene with a clean slate and just be able to experience life as an adult outside of my hometown, without necessarily having, mom, dad, whomever to kind of fall on, and really just figuring it out on my own. I also thought about, new and better opportunities in some cases. If you move to a bigger city, you may be able to get, a better job opportunity, a better paying job, or a better internship, or whatever the case may be, that you're looking for. And so that was what it was in my experience. When I left home, I wasn't focused on cybersecurity, not even thinking about it. I wanted to go to law school. So I was moving to a state where they had notable law schools at. And so those were better opportunities for me as opposed to going to law school back home because I already got my undergrad from back home. So I definitely wanted to venture out. So you may be able to experience new and better opportunities in some cases. Also new people. If you don't have a ton of friends back home, or maybe you do have a ton of friends back home, you'll be able to meet new people that may be able to expose you to different things that could better your life. And so that's something you want to keep in mind as well. If you're kind of just sick of the people that you're around, if you want to get away from your family, if you feel like I'm not like them, I want to experience something different, I want different for myself, I want better for myself, then that could be, a pro on the list with you being able to meet people who are more like you, people who have more interests like you do. If you're into movies, anime, if you're into dog walking, and they're in these bigger cities running, they have clubs for everything. So if where you're at a small town and you're thinking you want to go more big city, that's something to keep in mind as a pro. You also have new memories to create, which I know is really cliche, but if you really think about it, being at home, kind of in your normalcy in an environment that you're pretty familiar with, you may not necessarily get to create the same memories that you would create in an environment where you're exposed to different things, places, people. It could change you as a person. So you could potentially be able to create, new memories, meet new love, things like that. You may have a better dating pool. I know back home where I'm at, that's a big complaint around the city, that a lot of people are just not happy with the dating scene. And I'm sure anyone who lives in that city feels the same way. Not my city, but just if you live in a city and you feel like your dating pool is, trash, then getting out of that city will expose you to other people to date. It may also help you gain a sense of independence if you have any codependency issues, or if you have anything of that sort with family, friends, where you feel like you can't be alone, You got to have family around. Well, taking that leap of faith will maybe help you feel more independent and be able to live a more independent life, maybe where you don't rely on them so much, whether it's financially, whether it's for your decision making, whatever the case may be. You may be able to gain a sense of independence and a strong sense of it, going away and staying away. And then my last one would be just trusting yourself more in your decision making. If you can pack your stuff up, move across the country, wherever that may be for you, and be successful in it, then you, of course, are going to trust yourself more in your decision making, because you are doing things that maybe are on your to-do list or things that are goals for you to aspire to accomplish. And so once you start checking those things off your list, you trust yourself more in your decision making, and it could lead you down a path where you start making better decisions that are bettering your future and things of that sort. Now, there are some things I also want to talk about that are some cons, and I do want to highlight these. So the first one being that you're away from your family, which sucks, of course. So if you have siblings, brothers, sisters, younger, older, you will miss out on some of those core memories. Of course, you can fly back home, but when you're trying to get yourself together, flying back home should be the last thing on your list. So just being away from family, let's say if someone gets sick, if you have, a death in the family, that can be really tragic and hard. And, grief is rough on people. Sometimes they don't necessarily bounce back from grief. So that's something you also want to keep in mind as well. Do you have support? What does support look like for you? If an emergency happens, how soon or quick are you able to get home? Because life does life. You also have less support. I know that this is, kind of, one of those items. It could be a pro, could be a con, but less support could hurt a lot of people. When you move away, you could experience, situations where people feel like you think you better than them, or like you've changed when all you did was do better for yourself, want better for yourself, and get that. So you may receive less support. People may understand you less because they're kind of still in that environment that you removed yourself from, which is no shade, no tea to them, but they may not feel the same about you once they see that you're taking yourself and your life, style differently than what they have. And it can also be lonely. If you move somewhere where you don't know anyone, you could be lonely. If you're having a bad day, if you're feeling sick, if you're just, not feeling warm and fuzzy inside and you don't have anyone to lean on, if you're more of a loner, more of an introverted person and you find it hard to make friends, then that could be something that could, be a con for you moving away. Also celebrating the holidays alone. Sometimes you can't make it home. Sometimes it's not in your budget. Sometimes you got other things that you're trying to focus on and accomplish. So you may be spending holidays alone, Christmas, Thanksgiving, your birthday, things like that. Your parents' birthdays, your siblings' birthdays, you may be spending some of those holidays alone. Another con, depending on where you do move to, could be adverse weather. So let's say you move from Michigan to Florida, right? So you move from snow to now you're dealing with hurricanes. That could be something unfamiliar for you, something that could be uncomforting, something that makes you feel like, nope, I just want to go back home to the place where I feel more like I have understanding and, control over that environment, even though you don't have control over it. But I feel like with global warming, we don't. It is what it is all over the place. It's hotter and colder everywhere. It's snowing in places it shouldn't be snowing in, raining harder. So I feel like as the time goes on, if adverse weather is something that you're worried about, it's either deal with the snow or you're going to deal with a hurricane or a tornado. It's one of the two. You want to shovel your car out or you want to run and take cover because a tornado might be coming. I'm never choosing snow. So whatever else I can choose, I'm going to choose it over that snow. But that's just me. Another con could be if you have kids, they will or could possibly grow up without family being near. So if you have a baby and let's say you grew up around all your cousins and things like that, with you being away, unless you decide to make mommy friends, then you and your child may be experiencing less support and loneliness, just because you're away and you're not in that normal environment that you're used to. So there are things you can do, of course. You can go to church, you can join clubs, you can join mommy groups, you can join dog groups, you can join athletic clubs. There's always something going on, always some type of mixer or, things like that. If you're in any of the major cities, I can't speak on the smaller cities because I ran away from one. So if you're moving to a bigger city, you're coming from a smaller city, then there are some things that you can do to kind of make those cons less conny, and try to turn some of those into pros because you were able to figure out an alternative. So if you're lonely, they have apps that you can download to make friends. They got apps you can download to date. They have apps you can download to network with people. So there's stuff that you can do to kind of try to bridge that gap. So now I want to talk about why people return home. So this is just based off what I've seen, not my own experience because I didn't return home. This is just based off of kind of what I've seen and people that I've talked to. So the first thing I'll say is that they're not strong enough to be independent, or they're not strong enough to be lonely. Like, they will just lose their mind. They're like, nope, this isn't fun. I'm bored to death. I'm not having a good time. I don't know what to do. I don't know where to go. And that's like the number one thing that I see. So there are, like I said, things that you can do, and it may take some time for you to warm up to the area, your neighbors, things like that. But it may take some time to be patient with yourself because we don't make friends overnight for the most part. So just be patient with yourself during that time when it comes to that loneliness piece, because it can take over. I've experienced it myself, but I was just like, I don't care how lonely I get, I'm not going back home. So it is what it is. Another thing I see, top two, is people blow through all of their money that they saved when they're just trying to really keep up with the wave. And by that, I mean when they got the most expensive apartment when maybe they shouldn't have. Maybe they should have got an apartment that was under their budget, so they had a little cushion. So I also see people move and get the nice luxury downtown penthouse apartment when that's not where they should be trying to live, just starting out. And so that puts that financial strain and burden on them. Now they're struggling to pay their bills. Then you start getting behind. And then once you get behind with rent in the way it is these days, it's really hard to catch up for people. So you definitely want to keep that in mind. Not really trying to keep up with the wave. I always say you should live below your means if possible, so that you have that extra cushion for emergencies. And so you're able just to kind of still live your life, whatever way you want to live it. Going out, getting drunk, partying every night, because that's what they think living in the big city is, when there's more to it than that. I also have too much socializing or partying, so that's just kind of in the same field. Moving away, let's say you moved away from a small town or city, and you don't have any clubs, and you don't have any bars, and there's no real hangout spots, and you start hitting that scene, and you start hitting it too much, getting too consistent with that lifestyle, that will definitely throw you off financially, mentally as well, from accomplishing the goals that you set to accomplish when you moved away in the first place. So remember why you moved away and make sure that you are sticking to that plan. I will also say a lack of support when hard times hit, because hard times will hit. So if, for example, I don't know, you got a flat tire, right? And you've been maintaining everything, but that flat tire is just too much. Do you have somebody that you can lean on who can help you get that tire fixed until you get to a position to pay him back? Do you have somebody that can help you loan you $20, $40 if you need to get some groceries, things like that? But not having that lack of support when hard times hit is really discouraging. And let's say you were doing fine, you got a flat tire, you couldn't afford to get it fixed. Now you're late to work. Now you're missing work. Now you're behind on your bills. Now you got an eviction coming your way. And so it's just a trickle effect. So if you have a support community or people that you can rely on, only reach out to them when there is a true time of need, because you don't want to abuse that, because you might really need it one day. So you don't want to be the person hitting them up because you want $20 to go do X, Y, and Z. That's not important. Save those, occurrences for when you actually need them. So car trouble, of course. If you don't have a reliable vehicle and you're moving to a major city, then that is just such a headache for you. Being able to get around to employment can be challenging, which of course then can make it challenging to pay your bills. So if you have a vehicle already, try to make sure that your vehicle is up to par, so that it is able to get you from A to B, C to D, when you need, and that your job won't be affected, because you can't get to work because you're having car trouble. Death as well. Losing people, grief is really hard. So not really knowing how to grieve properly. There's not really a proper way to do it, but spending that time in of grief for an extended period of time, to where it does kind of distract you from work and your responsibilities, and things start kind of falling apart for you, is also another reason I see people returning back home. Financial situations, and then of course if someone's laid off. So if you move away from home and you know that you're all you got, when you have a little bit of extra money, just try to save it up, so that when push comes to shove, because it will, because life always lives, that you have something to fall back on, and that if you do need to reach out to someone, that it's for, a limited amount of health, and that it's not for, something that's super extensive. So those are some things that I've seen on why people return back home that you may just want to kind of keep in mind. If any of those resonate with you, or if any of those are reasons as to why you have had to return back to home, feel free to kind of share your experiences in the comments. And are you planning to move back? After you get yourself together, what's that, really look like for you? And then last but not least, I just want to give my advice. So my thing would be first to test out the city or area if possible. So go visit a couple of times, test out the area, drive by it during day, drive through that area during night. If you're going to a complex or a neighborhood, you can always get reports on that information, and just really how to understand, like, if there's any crime that's happening in that area, you can always check that out. So I all the complexes I've ever lived at, I've always seen the crime rate there, and I try to move to areas that have the lowest crime rates, because who want to worry about their car getting broken into, stolen, things like that. You also, like I said, research the crime and statistics in that area. I also highly suggest that you move somewhere where you know someone, or you move somewhere with someone that you trust. Two-piece there. Move somewhere where you know someone, one, so that you won't be so lonely. At least you'll have that person there, or those people there that you can spend your time with in those moments that you do feel lonely. And two, move with someone that you trust, and the big piece on there is someone that you can trust, and that's more so, I would say, mentally and financially, because you don't want to go move with someone who's irresponsible and you got your stuff together, and now you're in a position to where you're not stable because they weren't handling their responsibilities, aka their half of the bills, and so now you're aid out because you put your trust in someone who kind of didn't fall through. So make sure you're very careful there. My advice would be to transfer your job if possible. It's better to leave with a job if possible than to go looking for one, especially in this current job market. Of course, you got temp agencies and things like that, but if you want to try to be as stable as possible, either secure a job before you go or transfer your job if possible. You absolutely can quit your job and find another job. But the job market is really ugly right now, so I don't want to tell you to do something that I would never do, because I would never do that again in today's job market. I also have, sometimes you can use your offer letter as your proof of income. So as you're looking for, well, not sometimes, typically everyone will accept that, but when you're looking for a new place, and you obviously haven't started work yet, let's say you just got this job, and it's going to be upcoming, you can share that offer letter as your proof of income with the complex, and they'll be able to validate or verify your income there, so that is less worrisome and troublesome for you. I'm pretty sure most people already knew that, but if you didn't, there you go. And start small. It's okay to furnish as you go. I know we all want to move in and have the place fully furnished, but for a lot of people, that's just not realistic. You may move into your place and have nothing. right? And you might need to build your way up, and that's completely okay. You've seen the TikToks, you've seen the videos, you've seen the little pictures and memes where people just moved in and they don't have anything but a blow-up mattress, and that's okay. And that's absolutely okay. You start where you need to start. You stay in your lane. If you stay in your lane and you're not worried about other people, then you can knock down your goals and get to where you want to go. I moved into my very first apartment here, and I had moved from North Carolina, sold most of my stuff because didn't want to transport it. And I started with the bed, kitchen stuff, bathroom stuff, and a laptop. And it was what it was. And I was the happiest woman in the world because I was away from home and I knew it was on the up for me. And I done been in 2 places since then. So things have changed. Place is fully furnished now, but it wasn't when I first got here. So don't be afraid for that. Don't put that pressure on yourself. A place is a place. As long as you can pay that water and that rent, you will be okay. And then also I have, if you already have stuff and you can afford to transport it, do so. I moved in with my aunt when I moved down here. So I wasn't about to be doing all of that, getting storage. I sold most of my stuff and it just worked out better for me that way. I didn't care that I had to start over. I'm not starting over again. But now that I know what I know, I wish that I had the budget back then to just put my stuff into storage and bring it down and do it that way, because it would have saved me a lot of headache and taken all the time it took to refurnish an entire place. But that's just my advice. A lot of people be like, I just want to throw it away. I want to start fresh. But you're just putting more pressure on yourself if you're not in the best position financially. Now, if you got it, flaunt it. But if you don't, then think about the pros and the cons that may be there. And then last, I will say, just to take your time, take it slow, and don't get too overwhelmed with the process. It is very difficult. It is very challenging, but it's absolutely doable. You may not be comfortable. You may not like it right away. It may take you some time to warm up, but there definitely could be some benefit in moving away from your hometown, especially if you're trying to move for a job opportunity or to a bigger city for more opportunities. It could definitely pay off for you in the end. But that's the end of this video. I just wanted to talk about a couple of things here pretty quickly as it pertains to, should you move, should you stay, and what it realistically looks like, for people. I guess for me, when it came to death, I experienced a lot of death and it was really hard. But I also knew that if I was home, it would still be going on. So me being home wouldn't stop it. So that was just my way of just kind of learning how to deal with death and learning how to grieve, family members and friends, and, not let that deter or stop my life, because I still have to keep living for me. I still have to accomplish my goals and make myself happy. And I know that the people I care about, who I have lost, wouldn't want me to spend time, not being successful. So I kind of have learned to kind of deal with things a bit differently, but we all deal with things in our own special ways. So I just wanted to share a little bit about me and what my experience was like, some things I've learned. I hope you've gained some gems from this video. If you have, let me know what you think in the comments. And as I always say, if you enjoyed this video, feel free to send it to a friend, a family member, a coworker, a little cousin, your grandchild. It doesn't matter. Send it to them if you think that they could benefit from this information. And as I always say, peace and love. Cybershortieee is out.